What's up, chat? Today we gonna be talking about, you may have heard of him, but the YouTuber slash streamer Taekwondo. No glaze, I already know what y'all gonna say. But I watch all my YouTube, everything I watch on YouTube is just like his old VODs or his videos or his plug videos. Like that's all I watch on YouTube all the time. So in the video I was watching, he talked about, well, somebody asked a question. It had, something to do with how do I do this if I'm not feeling it. Right. Along with that, I've been reading the book, The Courage to Be Disliked. But I don't know if this camera moving thing is distracting, but it's distracting me. But I feel like I'm let it rock. I've been reading this book called The Courage to Be Disliked, and something they talk about a lot in the book is the separation of tasks. So essentially what the separation of tasks is, essentially just describing how you should separate your responsibilities in life with other people. So a lot of the times our interpersonal relationships affect how we think mentally, our decision making skills, or our personalities, or how we think and feel about ourselves. And so they talk about the separation of tasks and how you use that to help you eliminate distractions and influences of other people on you. And so with this separation of tasks, bro, graduate and don't know how to act. If I get the camera to come up here, follow me. Now look up. Bro, all those strings, bro, are my tassels, bro. I came OC, bro. I had the most tassels in the entire grade, bro. I was coming different, bro. I look how many colors it is, bro. I had the most tassels out of everybody. It was crazy. People was trying to bomb off of me, but they're like, let me have one of your tassels for $20, gang. I'm sorry, I can't let you do it. I have duplicate tassels, bro. You don't even know how to get that. So back to what I was saying. Going back to the first thing I started with somebody questioning, how do I do this if I don't feel it? What Ty went into was describing how feelings don't communicate, actions do. And you probably heard that before. You probably know what that means a lot. In life, your feelings don't show any. You can feel something and still do something else. You can be sad, go to the gym, or you can be mad and go to the gym. But at the end of the day, looking at you from an outside perspective, we can't see whether you're sad or mad. We just know for a fact you went to the gym. And so that's pretty much what he was talking about how regardless of what your feelings are, from the outside looking in, the only thing that you can really see is your actions that you decided to take. And so with that, I connected it to the separation of task. And so the separation of task is separating what you can control and what you can't control with other people and with yourself. And if you apply that to your brain in itself, you have the separation of your mind. So you have your actions, you have your thoughts, and you have your feelings. And essentially what you need to do in order to have control and peace in your life, you have to learn how to separate each one. For example, if you have a thought, right, and your thoughts control your actions, and then how you act controls how you feel, or how you feel controls how you act, or how you think controls how you feel. It's vice versa, and it's interlinked. So if you start thinking a certain way and you allow that to control how you feel, then you're not gonna end up being able to control your mind as a whole. For example, I lose my job, right, or I get fired. Say I hypothetically got fired, right? And my first thought is, dang, I got fired, I'm a failure. And so that thought would then lead to control how I feel. And so with me thinking I'm a failure, I'm gonna start feeling like a failure, and I'm gonna be sad, depressed and low. And since I'm feeling sad and depressed and low, a lot of the times people will usually draw that to how they act. So now they're acting like a sad, depressed, and low vibrational person. He said, this ain't hypothetical, you did get fired. Okay, but hypothetically, like, say I was, this ain't really, okay, regardless. So just because of that thought, it caused you to feel a certain way, then it caused you to act a certain way. But in life, you need to let your thoughts be your thoughts, let your feelings be your feelings, and let your actions be your actions. You can't let your feelings control your actions, because then you're not going to do what has to be done. If I'm feeling sad, I can't use that as an excuse to not go to the gym, to not go to work, to not do what I have to do. You have to let your actions be your actions. You can feel how you feel, but don't let your feeling interrupt what you have to do. It's gonna redirect you from your path, your journey. You feel me? So when you're dealing with the three things, you have to examine your own mind, how you think from a higher level. You have to look at it watching down. Usually we're living it. We're first person with our thoughts in our mind. Okay, we're back. Usually we think first person. So we're thinking this and then we're feeling that and then we're doing this. But a lot of the times the way we think is influenced by outside people or our environment or how we grew up. So if you're thinking based off of these things around you that's influencing you, and you let that control your feelings, let your feelings control your actions, you're not gonna have full control of your head space and your mind. So in order to think and move how you want to move in life, you're gonna have to first reconstruct the way you think. And the only way to do that is to examine your thoughts in third person. For example, I was at work earlier today, and I don't know exactly what I thought, but I just thought some stupid, something dumb. And I had to catch myself like, hold on, why am I thinking that in the first place? Because a lot of the times, like, you just start to think automatic. Like, so I'm wondering, like, why did that pop into my head? And when you think of something, you're like, why did that pop into your head? What you should do next is examine, okay, this thought popped in my head. What is in my environment, and what am I receiving from the outside world that's making me think that way? And so that could be your friends, that could be what you watch on TV, what music you listen to, that put that thought in your head. So for example, say you're at the movies, right? And you just start randomly think about a burger. For example, you'd be like, okay, wait, why am I thinking of a burger? Was it because of the commercial I seen earlier on TV? Was it because of the song I was listening to? So just like that, something from your outside world environment influence a thought into your head. And so you're gonna have to start examining your thoughts from a third person perspective, identifying where these thoughts are coming from. And it's blurry again, bro. What's going on, bro? Okay, we're back. Face the camera. I don't know why it does that, bro. It just randomly, goes blurry. But like I was saying, you have to figure out what is influencing these thoughts into your head. And then you have to start taking them out of your life. So if you're around a friend group that's like very low vibrational, very negative, and you're about to perform like a performance, and you think, bro, I'm terrible at and you just start thinking negative, and you look from the third person's perspective, you're like, okay, I'm getting these thoughts of self-doubt because I have doubtful people around me. And so what you do is you start to disconnect from those people, disconnect to those videos. I'm thinking these loser thoughts because I'm watching these loser videos or TikToks or reels, or like just negative mindsets that will influence your mindset. So you have to be careful on what information you're receiving, because it will influence the thoughts that you have. Once you get rid of those influences and you unplug them out your head, whether it's somebody around you that you're talking to, and you just start to think the things they think or how they think, or it's the songs you listen to, or it's the social media you watch and you receive, you gotta be careful about what you allow your brain to interact with, because whether you know it or not, everything you're seeing, hearing, smelling is all influencing your mind, whether you recognize it or not. And so what you want to do to improve that, so that's the deconstruction. You got to destroy all the things that are influencing your mind that you don't want to be influenced by. And so the reconstruction is you start to look for mindsets and things that you do want to have installed in your brain. So if you want to be more confident, you start watching, listening, reading about confident people and how they move and how they think, and you adapt their mindset into your head in order to help you reprogram your way of thinking. This is the reconstruction stage. So the first stage is the third person stage, or the self-reflection stage. So you have to work on realizing what you're thinking, why you're thinking it, and what caused you to think it. That's the first stage, the self-reflection. The second stage is the deconstruction. So after you found what caused you to think it, you destroy it and you unplug it from your head. So that's essentially just cutting yourself off from it. So whether it's a person, whether it's your favorite YouTuber, whether it's on TikTok, you feel me? All of the above, a song. So that's when you take it out of your head. So you deconstruct it. Reconstruction. You plan out how you want to think, how you want to move, why you want to think it, and what you want to think. And you start to adapt it and surround yourself in it. because a lot of the times our self-doubt, our worry, anxiety, our fears, this all is instilled in us from our environment. So in order to fix your mindset and think how you want to think, these are the steps that you're gonna have to do. um I was just thinking about that earlier because a lot of the time our thoughts tie to our feelings and they tie to our actions. And so that's how you essentially rewire your thoughts so you can think the things that you want to think and how you want to think. A lot of the times we see a problem and we see it as like for example, we see a wall. Like we see our problems as a wall stopping us from getting to the other side. But all it takes is a different mindset to change that wall into an opportunity. So an example I like to do, right? We getting deep. All right. For example, we have. I'm gonna just call him Tom. We have Tom, right? He has a problem. Tom has no money, right? This is a vague, very common problem, right? That's his problem. People, once you have a problem, you have an opportunity. Tom sees him having no money as a barrier. It's stopping him from going on dates, from being with his friends, from eating what he wants to eat, and he sees it as a barrier, him having no money. But usually all it takes to fix our problems is our mindset. Our mindset is what decides on whether we continue having this problem or we grow and change. So Tom could take the negative path or a positive path. And what like to think, I don't like to think in good or bad. I like to think in beneficial or non-beneficial. Now for Tom, the non-beneficial way to be thinking would it benefit Tom to mope around, dope around? I can't get the clothes I like because I don't have money. I can't talk to the girl I want because I don't have money. I can't go with my friends because I don't have money. Or would it benefit him to change his perspective? So instead of it being a barrier blocking him from doing what he wants, he now has a choice to go down each path. And so this is really like essentially just a way to examine on how to change your negative mindset into a positive mindset. So usually our problems, we get used to face our problems with a negative mindset. This is where you find people that complain, that mope around, dope around, and then you have the problem solvers. So instead of spending his energy on the negative side, where he's seeing it as a barrier, all he would need to change is his mentality in order to actually benefit and grow from his problem. So if he understands, okay, I don't have money, so to help fix that, I'm gonna read financial literacy books. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos online on the different things I can do in my current state in order to make money. He can go on ChatGPT for free and search ways he can make money in his specific circumstances. And in this case scenario, he's having a beneficial mindset because he's not spending his time in a negative zone, moping, doping, complaining. I wish I could do this, but I don't have money. Instead of using his problem as an excuse for him to not do anything, he uses his problem and he addresses it and he learns what he has to learn in order to destroy the wall. I'm gonna read it off quickly. I titled it "The Power of Perspective." It says, "What one sees a barrier, another sees as an opportunity." And then steps to change your perspective. First, you have to recognize the barrier. Okay, barriers, problems, same thing. I can't do A because B. I can't do this because this is a barrier. It's stopping you from doing something that you want to do. The first step, recognize the barrier. Okay, I can't do this because this is seemingly stopping me. Two, know the barrier is not definite, but just a low vibrational belief. A lot of the times, you may see something as a barrier. The whole time, it's not a real barrier. Our mindset will trick us into thinking that it's a barrier, but really we're just not thinking on the level we need to think. So we may see something as a barrier, but that's because we're down here, we're negative. But when you raise your mindset and you look once again with the third person perspective, a lot of the time you can see over the barrier and you can see it for what it really is. A lot of the times you need to think over it in order to find a way to get over it. What I said is barriers are not definite, but just a low vibrational belief. And then the third step, reflect on different perspectives. So right now, okay, I see this as a barrier because because A. And now what you do next is you see it from different perspectives. Okay, from this side, it doesn't really seem like a barrier because blank. On another side, it doesn't seem like a barrier because this. You have to change your angles on how you're looking at it. Because a lot of the times we get so caught up in our, one-to-one level of thinking that we never, see it from another direction. And that a lot of times just doing that will help us learn and grow from it or get over it. Number 4, act on the perspective that benefits you and not limits you. For example, me, I'm 5'7". In today's world, a lot of people say, okay, if you're under 5'10", you're short, and this, that, and the third, you can't play basketball, yada yada, right? This is maybe it's a well accepted or largely accepted perspective, right? And so just by it being that, it can cause, shorter people to accept this perspective that I'm short, so I can't do this, I can't do that, and I'm not gonna be nothing, right? Because that's a perspective that the world takes as a majority. And so say I shifted my perspective into the perspective of other people. So I'm hearing the world say, okay, I'm short, so you can't do nothing. But I'm doing my research and I'm finding out. Now, I'm not Muggsy Bogues. I'm not saying I'm Muggsy Bogues level. But for example, let's say I do research, Muggsy Bogues. He's 5'3", I think, and he made it to the NBA. So something's not correlating with what the world thought and what he thought. And you look at Napoleon. Napoleon's what, 5'5", and he conquered the most. He was the most successful war, tactic, militant, I'm not finding a word, person there ever was. He's 5'5". So by shifting my perspective, doing research, finding out more things, I'm learning that, okay, even though a lot of people say this, it's not a fact. So that's, once again, how you see it as a barrier. At first I seen it as a barrier. Short people can't do this, but I'm seeing short people do this. So is it really a barrier? And so that's essentially what I was meaning when I said just shifting your perspective can help you really identify if it even is a barrier. You feel me? So it might not even be a barrier half the time, because just when you shift your perspective, you see, okay, so what seemed to me to be a wall, I'm short, but if I'm seeing other people short and they still achieve their goals, is that a barrier? Or is it just an ideological barrier that was instilled on me based on the perspectives of other people? We never know until you change your perspective. You act on the perspective that benefits you. Now, say I had the perspective of the people. You're short, you can't do nothing, you'll never achieve nothing, right? And I also seen the perspective of Muggsy Bogues, Napoleon Hill, and I'm like, okay, Napoleon Hill, he never even seen that as a barrier, and he still did what he wanted and had to do. Now I have an option. I have a non-beneficial perspective. Me believing and feeding into the perspective of what people say about short people, will that benefit me or will that not benefit me? It would not benefit me, because it's really gonna make me hate myself, feel depressed, low vibrational, yada yada. And then you have Napoleon Hill perspective. Yes, I'm short, but I still am the most successful leader in the military there ever was in the entire planet, in the history of the entire universe or world, whatever. It would be more beneficial. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying it would be more beneficial for me to accept his perspective, because his perspective is crushing this barrier that I have first had, that was instilled in my head. So by changing my perspective from this non-beneficial perspective that's not gonna get me it's not gonna get me nowhere in life, thinking, oh, I can't do nothing because I'm short, right? But if I think in the perspective of somebody who did something, regardless of however size they were, it'd be more beneficial. So this is how changing your perspective will help you identify a more beneficial path, or even help you identify something that's not really being a barrier. A lot of times we see stuff as a barrier. This is a problem. I can't do this because blank. Change your perspective. Find a path that's beneficial or not beneficial way of thinking and get over it. And I wrote down here at the bottom, use this to counter any pre-existing beliefs imposed on you by this wretched world. The world has all types of things, they say. All types of things. And a lot of it is just put in place to make you beat yourself up. A lot of the times when we hate ourselves because of something, we were taught to hate ourselves because of this. We weren't naturally born to hate ourselves because of this. We were taught because of how the world treated you and what the world told you. And so when you start to think like this, is it beneficial for me to feed into this belief? Or is it beneficial for me to find a new perspective and disregard this quote unquote barrier that I thought I had? And once you start to do that with all your problems and any, belief system imposed on you by the world that's making you hate yourself, dislike something about you, that's what the world wants. That's why these were put in place. They feed off of your insecurities. But when you start to think like this for every problem that you have, you'll be able to not let anything control how you think about yourself or what you're doing, because you're not on that same perspective anymore. Yeah, y'all can think that, but that doesn't mean I have to accept what y'all believe. I don't have to accept what y'all think. You can think how you want to think. You can pick the path that's beneficial to you. You don't have to think how they think. A lot of times we're tricked into thinking what they think is the truth or what they think is right. But would it be more beneficial for me to be delusional and say, no, they're wrong? Or would it be beneficial for me to be a fool and accept what they say, to be delusional? And I'm just saying, it won't really be delusional, but to them, they're going to see it as delusional. Oh, so-and-so wants to go to the NBA, but he's only 5'4". He's an idiot. He's delusional. But would it be more beneficial for me to think I can't because you think I can't? Or would it be more beneficial for me because I think I can, because I know I can, and because I changed my perspective on things? But that's the end of this video. I really hope y'all learned something, and I hope I was able to best communicate my points and what I wanted to teach y'all, because I think this is really important. Now, I wish I had learned these things at a younger age, because I myself have been fooled by perspectives and thoughts of the world. I now know how important it is to protect your peace and choose what's beneficial to you, because you're always going to hear the non-beneficial being pushed into your head. It's a low vibrational thinking. But I appreciate y'all for watching this video. I really hope I taught y'all something. Y'all learned something. I know, and the camera's back on. Sorry. I hope I wasn't too long-winded, but I was really trying to find the best way to communicate this how I felt could be palatable or just understandable like I would want it to. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. I'm streaming this right now. So I don't think anybody's on stream right now, but I streamed this whole thing. Just in case I had comments or like questions going on. I'll put my Twitch at the bottom if you want to catch some. If there's something else you have questions on, you can just comment on the video. But that's it for today. I appreciate y'all.